Galair, and welcome to the Loaf of Bread GAA podcast, slicing into the GAA of the past, present and future. Join me, Jason Keelan, as we cut into the largest loaf of bread known to mankind.
Hello, Diegwich, bonjour, ni hao, konnichiwa, guten tag and privyet to you all wherever you're listening in. What started as a message to 10 clubs has now expanded to more than 50 clubs globally from all continents. The journey through Loaf 2 GAA Global continues this week as we move on to our next destination in the GAA world. So come with me on the GAA journey of a lifetime and meet clubs from Canada to Argentina, South Africa to Gibraltar, Bermuda to the North Pole, New Zealand to Kuwait, Knoxville to Qatar, and literally everywhere in between. So grab the passports, grab the bags, it's time to go. On Slice 20, I go from the heat of the African continent to the north of Europe and the Swedish capital city of Stockholm. Emma, Dónal, Julia and Philip bring us through the life of the Stockholm Gaels GAA club. Emma tells about her arrival from Connemara to dark winter in Stockholm, playing in Scandinavia against the rivals in their own nation, against Denmark, Norway and Finland. Julia taking up the game as a native Swede and her winning goal against Malmo, bags of cans, and answering the key questions like whether ABBA are really the greatest, who is the better DJ, Avicii or Mark Mc Cabe, H&M or Penneys, and the crucial choice between the dazzling Northern Lights or the dazzling lights of Coppers. Also, just to note, Dónal hasn't the greatest timekeeping skills and takes a long time to appear, but my god is it worth it. If they gave out Oscars for Kerry storytelling, this man would be up there with the finest. He tells a great Páidí story and a Gooch story, and he gives us the Maurice Fitzgerald secret. But first, as usual, let's take a trip through the stunning Stockholm and through Sweden and see what the amazing Scandinavian country has to offer us. Bonsultas. The beautiful piano playing in the background is one of the great tracks by Swedish legends ABBA, who you will hear more about in a while. Sweden itself lies in the Scandinavian region of Northern Europe, bordering Norway and Finland by land. A trip across the spectacular Øresund Bridge leads it to Denmark on the mainland of Europe. The correct term for the peninsula region is actually Fennoscandia, with a pretty mild climate in the summer and cold snowy winters. The name Sweden came from the Dutch Lande van Sweden, land of the Swedes. Other names are Svealand and Sverice. In Swedish, the word is Sverige, meaning realm of the Swedes. The country's history goes back to the original hunter-gatherers of the region before the tribe known as the Swedes arrived. By the 2nd century AD, the Norse presence had kicked in and the runic writing was evident, something we have evidence of in Ireland also. The Viking era was similar to that you would read about in history books, travelling across lands, settling, destruction and much more. The likes of Skerries in Dublin takes its name from Swedish Viking roots, as Skeri are reef islands, similar to the naming of the North Dublin region. Swedish monarchy kicked in around the 10th century when Eric the Victorious began ruling the country. He is named in many of the famous sagas of the Nordic times. His brother was said to have been Olaf, yet somehow Olaf's son Styrbjorn the Strong turned out to be Eric's main rival. They can be tough stories to follow at times. It's a bit like watching Game of Thrones. Although something of interest from the Nordic sagas of Eric is that when Eric and his nephew Styrbjorn became friends, Eric's friendship with Denmark meant Styrbjorn got married to the Danish king's daughter. That Danish king was named Harald Gormson, better known as Harald Bluetooth, and it is from him that the technology today gets its name. Harald united tribes in Denmark in the same way Bluetooth can unite devices. The Bluetooth symbol is a combination of the old rune symbols for his initials, HB. 1523 is considered the founding of Sweden when Gustav Vasa became leader, when he helped fight off the Danish king Christian II. 2 centuries later, Sweden, the scarcely populated nation, became a major power, and through the 30 Years' War and beyond took lands in Russia and Poland. During World War II, Sweden was generally controlled by German forces, and many concentration camps were set up as a result across the country, in places like Skåne, Västra and Gävleborg, ironically home to the newest GAA team in the world in 2021. Geographically, just over 10% of the nation lies within the stunning Arctic Circle region, with more than 60% of the nation being covered in forest. Lake Vänern is the third largest in Europe. Timber, as a result, continues to be one of the biggest resources exported from the country. In modern times, it has also produced some of the great companies known worldwide, such as Sony Ericsson, Volvo, Electrolux, Scania, and of course IKEA, the wonderful everything. AstraZeneca, which we have all become familiar with, is a joint British-Swedish company. But you can't mention Sweden and not mention Benny, Bjorn, Agneta and Annifrid. The foursome won the Eurovision Song Contest in 1994 with the hit song Waterloo, under the name of ABBA, which has since in many places been picked as the greatest song of all time. The three Swedes and Annie, born in Norway, went on to have many hit songs ranging from Money 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 to Fernando, Dancing Queen to Take a Chance on Me, and The Winner Takes It All to Does Your Mother Know. Of course, many are familiar with the more recent musical films called Mamma Mia, which went down very well, except when I had to go to watch it in Galway during my time in the Gaeltacht in Carrarua. That was quite painful. But you can't argue with a band who were able to release a greatest hits album after only 3 records. That's pretty impressive. Some famous people from the country include dynamite inventor Alfred Nobel, after whom the famous prizes are named, scientists Carl Linnaeus and Anders Celsius, actor and TV stars Ingrid Bergman, the Skarsgårds and Dolph Lundgren, golfers Henrik Stenson and Jesper Parnevik, singer Zara Larsson and the now deceased DJ Avicii, and of course, this man.
Who's the best striker in the Premier League right now?
English or foreigner?
Anyone you like?
I feel Lukaku is strong. Aguero is good. He's all round.
You didn't say yourself.
Lions, they don't compare themselves with humans.
The Swedish capital of Stockholm is a beautiful city which I've had the pleasure of visiting a few times. From hosting the Olympics in 1912 to hosting the Nobel Peace Prizes annually, the city is certainly one of the world's more famous. The old town portion, Gamla is well worth a visit, but also has some very modern areas. The Vasa Museum is one of the most visited places in the region, and is home to some incredible pieces of history, including full-scale Viking longboats. Nearby, the ABBA Museum and the outdoor Skansen Museum also provide some of the beauty of the relaxed-paced Stockholm. Within Sweden, you will find Stockholm Gaels GAA. The club was founded in 2009 and began competing against teams a year later. Despite being only 12 years old, the club has had some major success stories, including 6 Nordic titles, 4 Nordic championships, and competing in the Gaelic Games Europe competitions. And for those interested in finding out more, there is a radio documentary by RTE producer Pat O'Mahony called The Silver Lining, which is still available. And to go with that, a book called A Parish Far From Home, written by Philip, the club chairman, and the man you will hear in a few minutes. But before we get to the GAA gang, here is one for you. Any Irish sporting fan, and even if you're not a sporting fan, will remember this moment in 2009.
But there's the handball by Henry.
And by the way, not just once, George, but twice. It's actually hit him on the arm and then he's controlled it with his hand. Just watch it from this angle.
Yes.
And then he's knocked it back to Gallas and it's easy, but...
That's a handball, no question about it. Absolutely no question about it, and France have stolen the lead on aggregate.
Yes, it's the famous cheating bastard himself, Thierry Henry, robbing Ireland in Paris that November night. Many of the Stockholm gang were there and witnessed it. So what do they do when they go back to Sweden? Have a go? Send an angry email? No. They did the true GAA thing and invited referee Martin Hansen to throw the ball in to their first ever GAA match that April. But Martin couldn't make it. So what happened instead? The man who was on the line that evening and missed a handball, Stefan Wittberg, came along instead and threw the ball in. If you don't believe it, the website has the picture, as does the YouTube version of the slice you're listening to now. It's just an amazing story. And so to that end, it's time to catch up with the gang at Stockholm Gaels GAA. So let's meet Philip, Julia, Emma, and near the end Dónal, and find out all about life in the Nordic nation and see what the GAA world in Sweden is all about. Hey Amanda.
The name is wrong. My name is Emma. I don't know why it's coming up.
I was wondering. Yeah, I was like, maybe somebody else. Yeah.
How are you?
Not a bother. How are things?
Oh, not too bad now. We're going having a nice drink now while we do this.
Fair play to you. Yeah. How's all over in? Are you in Stockholm at the moment, or? Yeah.
We're in Stockholm now. So I think everyone that's in the call today is here. So.
Oh, deadly, yeah. And what's the weather like? Nice 40 degrees, I presume.
Absolutely not. It's been raining all week, and then yesterday was like the first fine day we had all week, and then sure it started raining in the evening again. So
Standard, yeah.
the same as at home, yeah.
Yeah.
The same as at home.
Whereabouts are you from originally?
I'm from Galway, Connemara.
All right. Oh yeah, very good. Yeah, I was born in Ballinasloe. I don't have any allegiances. I'm afraid, to Galway. It was just happened to be the hospital at the time that was handiest. So
Oh yeah.
what
They
part
say
of
you're from Galway, so
you can if you want. Yeah, the Westmeath top that's on me, I suppose, has maroon on it, so it's close enough. Yeah.
well,
And what brought you over to Stockholm?
me, I'm here 8 years now, since January, and I got offered a job as a nanny and au pair to a family friend who lives in our village. So she's Swedish.
Okay.
So she said to me, yeah, I was in school with her son. So he was like a couple of years, like maybe a year or two below me. But we used to live quite close to each other, so we used to hang out. And then she just approached my mom one day and said, would Emma like to move to Stockholm and work with my niece? And mom was like, oh, I'll ask her. Sure, why not? I had just come back from Florida at the time. I went over for the summers and stuff like that. So I was kind of wondering what to do. And I said, sure, I'll go over for a few weeks anyway. And never left.
And didn't know there was a big Swedish population in Connemara, but
there's maybe like one or two of them now. That's it.
Yeah.
It's not a huge population. But I mean, you know what it's like, small villages. Everybody knows everyone. So
yeah, it's like Mullingar in some ways. So, and you've obviously liked it over there. So
yeah. I mean, I couldn't see myself now leaving after 8 years. You know, you get really used to it. You get kind of, I don't know, you kind of get stuck into it. And then we have the big Irish community as well in the football, so that really helps as well.
I was over there.
Like you don't.
2000 and it could have been 9 or 10. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But yeah, really nice spot. And I was chatting to the guys up in I'll pronounce it wrong now. Lulio.
Yeah, Lulio. Yeah.
How do you say it?
Mm-hmm. Lulio.
I
say it wrong too because our accents, like, it doesn't do it any justice at all.
Yeah. I was chatting to them as well. I was showing them I've gone Stockholm, but then I went up the coast of Norway and up over the top of Sweden. But other than Stockholm, I've never actually really. And Malmo, I saw Malmo and Gothenburg for a little bit, but not much. So yeah, it's a really nice country. It's expensive enough, obviously, up in Scandinavia as well. Yeah. Was it much of a change from Connemara to be dropped in Stockholm then?
Oh, gee, I mean, I came here the 23rd of January. And it was like one of the coldest winters they had, and there was snow up to my knees. And I landed at like 5 p.m. and it was pitch black.
Wow!
And I was like, "What am I doing?" And the host family that I stayed with, they were opening the car of the door of the car, and it was like completely frozen because they'd only opened one door to let themselves in, and the back door they were like, "Oh, just give us a few minutes." I was just standing there like, and it was like minus 15, minus 16. I was like, I am not sure what I've just done. So
I would just say you survived it, yeah.
Yeah, it was a big difference now, I must say. Like, it's a bit of a culture shock. And I think the first year or so, I was very much just trying to find my way around, trying to figure out this, and this. And then I found out about the football and all that kind of stuff when I joined it. And sure, it was from there, then it made it a lot easier.
Yeah. And did you get much, did you play much at home before you come out?
I played a bit when I was in secondary school and a little bit in college, but not a whole lot. Like, I stopped for a very long time because I was just like, oh no, I'll get back to it. And then when I came back here, then I was like, sure, yeah, I'll get into it again.
And did you play club at home as well, or was it just at the school?
Yeah, I played club for a while, up until I was about 17, I think. And then I was like, sure, I'm going. I'll partying and doing all that. You know yourself.
Yeah.
I'm not getting up on a Sunday morning to go to a football match. That's 2 hours away.
Yeah. And who was your club?
I played with Granny Wales. So they were like, the women's team there. And then my aunt joined me on it as well, and a lot of people from our school. Then she became the captain for a while, and then she moved on and went up to Dublin. So she's up there now, working in Croke Park and everything. Like, so she's knocking herself out there.
What's her name?
We played
in Croke Park.
Geraldine McTavish. She's the diversity and inclusion officer.
I must.
So
my sister-in-law's the head of insurance in Croke Park. They surely know.
Oh well, they'd have to know each other. Then.
Yeah, I'll have to pass the name on. Definitely. Yeah, that's a good one. Now I didn't. Haven't met anyone who knows anyone who works in Croke Park just yet. So
there you go. Then so now
that's definitely a first yet. And how did you get? Did you decide to join the club, or did you get roped into it when you got out there out in Stockholm?
when I was here, there was a fella I knew from home who knew a fella over here from home as well. So a friend of a friend. And he said, get in touch with him and he'll know a few Irish people. And it was St. Patrick's Day. And he said, come with me. He was like, we're after building a curragh and we're going to sail the curragh from Sweden to Connemara. And I said, all right, this sounds very unrealistic, but I'll go with you anyway. And then while I was there, I met a load of the Irish people and I met Colin Courtney, who happened to be the treasurer. He's the treasurer at the time. So he stepped down since, but he's still involved. But I met him and he's like, Jesus, did you ever play football in your life before? And I kind of looked at him like, yeah, I've been known to kick a ball now and again. And then he was like, yeah, we're training on these days and we're trying to get a few women together. And I was like, okay, I'll see. And then maybe about a week later, I bumped into someone else who was heavily involved in it, Owen Sheedy. And then he passed on numbers and stuff like that. And he said, come to training. It's on Sunday at 10 o'clock. I said, okay.
I can't let that story. You have to back up there a little bit. There was a fella in Sweden who wanted to sail a curragh from Sweden to Galway. To row. And did it happen? What?
No. They tried to do it and they're like, okay, this is what we'll do. And I think they realized it'd be a big feat.
Right. Yeah. No, just when you said it, you just said it in such passing. I was like, did I hear that?
Yeah. But it was true. It was through them because they had like a big event and then there was a lot of Irish people there. So through them, a lot of people that were there found out about, like new people, let's say like me, found out about like the Gaelic and all the other events that were happening and all the other groups. Okay. So it was good to connect and meet people and stuff.
Yeah, that's gas. I heard curragh rowing in Connemara. I went, what's going on here?
What's going on here? Yeah.
That's gas, yes. Here she is.
You're on, Julia.
Yay, I couldn't hear you before.
Okay, because we were like, what happened to you there now?
No, because I was trying to use my headphones, but it didn't. I don't think it worked. I don't know why.
That seems to be working now. Okay. Julia, how are you anyway?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, good.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too, yes. Whereabouts are you from originally?
I'm Swedish. So
what part? Stockholm or?
No, I'm south of Sweden, but I lived here for like 11 years now, so yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I kind of guessed with a name like Kjelsen that you were.
Yeah.
You definitely were from Galway anyway. So.
No.
Yeah.
Although you'd be surprised.
I suppose after your story of meeting Swedish people in Connemara, maybe she is. Yeah.
Yeah.
You never know. Yeah. And
stranger things have happened,
Exactly. Yeah. No. And Julie, how did you get roped into the Gaelic football in Stockholm?
Actually, my sister knows Phil, who's also going to be on the call. So she went for a couple of trainings and then I joined her. And yeah, here we are, like 10 years later or something like that.
Wow.
So.
And you've obviously enjoyed playing over the last decade then.
Yeah. No, it's great fun. Like I've never been one to play like soccer or anything like that. I think that's very boring. So when I found Gaelic football, it was like the perfect mix of like soccer, but also very fast and things like quite rough and everything I like with like ice hockey and those kind of sports outside. So perfect.
Wow. And you say soccer's boring from the home of the hero of soccer, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, and you find it boring. That's, oh my God.
Oh no.
I even went to find the plaque or the statue that they have for him in Malmo, I think it was, or wherever his home place was. Yeah. I went looking for it. Yeah, wow. God, that's
you've done more than us, so.
Yeah, I didn't think anybody would find soccer boring in Sweden, but that's a good one. Yeah, I like that. And did you find the early days of Gaelic football easy enough to learn the skills and all that?
I mean, the soloing is always going to be the hardest part when you're learning it as an adult, I think. And I think we've seen that when we have newcomers to the team as well. But otherwise, like most of the other skills are a mix of other sports that you would play, like handball or basketball or other sports. So I think it's easy enough to pick up. It's apart from the soloing, that's like still every season. It's like, what am I doing again? How is this working?
Yeah, Emma hasn't forced you to support Galway yet, has she?
Sometimes now there's a lot of people on the team I think there's only like 2 of us from Galway. There was there was 3 at one stage, I think, and now there's only myself and another girl who joined a couple of weeks ago. But then we have a lot of other people. Like next week we're playing Limerick, and we have one of our good friends who plays football with us, Captain Barry. She's also from Limerick, so we do tend to have a little bit of rivalry. And I'm like, who are you picking now? You have to pick one.
Yeah.
But sure, you pick whoever wins at the end. You're like, oh, I was going for them anyway. I'm like, okay.
They're my favorite team until next week. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
Next week it's going to be Cork or something. And be like, what's going on?
Yeah. Julia, have you had the chance to go to Ireland to see any games or?
Not to see any games, but I've been a couple of times. Been for a couple of friends of ours. They had their wedding a few years back, and then me and Emma actually went to Gin Festival in Galway as well.
Yeah. Why not?
The Gin
Why
Festival,
not?
the highlight of Ireland. Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
It was actually really nice. The weather. It was in Galway City, so the weather was super good as well. So it was a really nice weekend.
So you've experienced Salt Hill and everywhere else, Julia.
Yeah.
We kind of walked by it really quick, I think, but we didn't spend that much time.
I've been to Salt Hill another time when I went. You know, when I went to Galway, we just passed each other out in Connemara.
Oh yeah.
Happened to be there a day apart.
Wow.
Yeah, we literally just missed each other. Just by chance, I was coming back, let's say, on the Monday, and Julie was landing on the Tuesday, and I was talking to her, and she's like, "Oh, I'm going staying in a place in Connemara," and I was like, "Oh, where are you staying?" And she named this place, and I was like, "You're not going to stay in there, are you?" And she was like, "Yeah, why?" I was like, "That's my best friend's mom's cottage," and she was like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" Like,
yeah,
Jesus.
Typical, standard.
Yeah,
everyone. Only in Ireland.
Everyone knows everyone. Yeah, only in Ireland. Like, you wouldn't get it anywhere else. Like.
Yeah, the campsite that is Ireland. Yeah. Do you, Emma, do you get to fly back home then much, or?
I mean, I would generally try and go at least once a year if I can, but now obviously with COVID and stuff like that, it's been quite difficult. But I did go home in December for a month, which was quite good. But I mean, there was lots of rules as well. You had to get the PCR test and stuff like that. So I was like, it's not really worth it at the moment.
Yeah.
But before COVID, I go back maybe once or twice a year.
Okay, yeah. And is a long-term plan to stay there then?
For now, anyway, yeah. For now, I think I will. And then we'll see what happens. I mean, never say never. Obviously, it'd be nice to go home eventually at some time and like settle down and stuff like that with your family and everything there. But for now, I mean, it's nice being away, and then it makes you appreciate when you're home more.
And have you introduced the Swedish to An Gael GAA yet, with coming from Connemara?
Do you know, the funny part is I don't even have that much Gaeilge. I don't have that much Irish. So,
you have to teach them the basics of, like, Pog Mahone.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but sure, look, they have plenty of American movies to teach them that anyway. So by the time we try and teach them, like, oh, I heard that before.
Yeah, fair enough. You can't get away with too much anymore, I suppose.
So. No.
And do you know how long is the club going in general, or is it before you got there?
It's going for 10 years now, since Julia started, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it started in 2010, and I think I started in 2011 or 2012. I don't remember anymore.
Okay, so you're like some of the original members, the veterans of the club, we'll call you.
Yeah.
Well,
I think Kathy Barry that Emma just mentioned, and Vera, we're the OGs of the ladies team right now.
Yeah.
Okay. What was the early days like with numbers and stuff? Was it 1 and 2 at training, or?
Yeah, I think my first training we were 3 people, and it was piss and rain, and we were like, I was like, what have I got into? What is this? But I think we had if we had a good training, we had like 8 or 9 people, I'd say, and then so it's evolved a lot. Now I think just a couple of weeks ago we had almost 20 girls at a training. So
okay. And you haven't evolved to like getting into schools or anything like that yet, have you?
We've done actually. Because I participated in, now it's I think 5-6 years ago, we did a couple of sessions in the school. We've tried to do that, but it's hard to get in, because they have their curriculum that they need to do, all the regular sports and whatnot. So it's been a bit hard. We've tried to do that, actually. And I think it's easier now because now people are starting to get kids and they're getting a little bit older, so we can try and organize things when we have our inclusion days and stuff like that. So the players bring their kids as well.
When I used to work in the...
Yeah, go on, sorry.
When I changed my name, it looks a bit more professional to put my full name.
It's fine. I don't use the video anyway, apart from for screenshots.
Sure, it's a podcast, isn't it?
Yeah.
When I worked in the schools here, when I first came over, I started working in international schools. And I worked in one in the city, and we had a couple of training sessions there. We mixed it in, as Julia said, with their curriculum and with their PE time to try and get them to do different things, because once again, it was an international school. There was maybe like one Irish parent and the rest were like, English and all over the world, like all over Europe, all over the world. So I spoke to like the teachers and stuff, and I said, we can bring a couple of girls in. There was 2 girls coming over to train us from Cork. We're like, we can bring a couple of girls in and we see what the kids like and stuff like that. The kids at the time were 10 or 11. So they were able to kind of have a bit of an idea of what they were saying and how they were explaining it. And because English was spoken quite a lot in the school, it was pretty easy for them to understand. I think the accents were a little bit harder for them. So they had to speak very slow to them. But a lot of them, like, they loved it. They thought it was great. They were like, oh, this is perfect. This is really nice.
Yeah.
So at least they got to try it, but it's very hard to implement it and bring it into the schools here.
Yeah, it's such a competitiveness, I suppose, in all the other sports. Like, you've, apart from soccer, obviously been, I'd say, the number 1 sport. You've you guys have ice hockey and stuff up there as well, haven't you?
Yeah, and then we have, in the wintertime, we have innebandy, which is like, I think that's almost the second biggest sport now, or third biggest, something like that.
It's like floorball kind of thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's so you got a lot of competition to take on others then. But in general, Julia, I know you've been Swedish. Is there many other Swedish participating in it?
We're not that many right now. I think there was a time when we had almost 50-50 a few years ago. But right now it's just me. We have a Finnish girl, and there's a couple new girls that are Swedish.
Okay, and is it just literally Irish, Swedish, and Finland, or is there any other international countries involved?
Oh, we have Australians, people, Spanish. I'm trying to think who else. British.
We had a couple of Chinese girls last year.
Yeah.
And did they all pick up the skills and stay on as well? They didn't abandon ship very quick, did they?
No, they stayed for a while anyway. I wouldn't say they're going to go for county anytime soon, but they really came in and they just tried it to see how it was and stuff like that, and if they could commit to it, because obviously with work and stuff and training twice a week, and all that kind of stuff.
Okay,
Hi, Philip.
Hi, Ben.
Hi, Philip. Not too bad. We just had a few minutes.
Sorry, I'm late, lads. I was working. I was writing an article there about women's football. I was going, Jesus, I have to get on this call. How are we keeping?
Not too bad. Yeah, no, we just had a few minutes of bad mouth there just before you came on, so it was grand.
Yeah, Ridger is there. Yeah, no, she'll be giving me grief.
Honest to God, I didn't. I just said you were the chairperson. That's all I said.
I may have made it up. It's we'll look into it after. Whereabouts are you from, Philip, originally, or?
From Dublin, the north side of Dublin. So the closest club to me would be St. Vincent's. So
oh yeah, Marino.
Well, I went, like, Marino and Donecarney are very close together, and you tend to move between the two. So I lived in Donecarney, but went to school and we played football then in Marino and that, you know.
I went to college there on Griffith Avenue in Marino as well. So
a teacher training college there, was that?
That's right, yeah.
There you go.
No, well, yes.
Famous place. It used to be a picnic court there. God almighty, you sound like a granddad now. This is fucking terrible.
You're grand.
Sound all right? Do we need a microphone or that kind of thing?
No, you seem grand. I'm sure it'll come out fine. If it doesn't, I'll play around with it anyway. I'm sure it'll be grand. So you grew up next to Parnell then?
Yeah, well, that was the thing. Like, I mean, the earliest fucking memories I have of the GAA is being down there. There used to be behind the goal where there's a little sort of stand there now, just where you come in. Used to be that used to be just a mound of earth behind the goal. And my father was a mad Dublin supporter. And like, even when they'd be training, he'd bring you down there. And in the late 70s, of course, when they had such a great team under Kevin Heffernan, that was sort of the mid 70s there. Like, there'd be hundreds of people down there just watching them train, you know. And I remember Jimmy Keaveney and Gail Driscoll and all these lads playing, you know. Yeah. Brian Mullins. So that was kind of where, like, you know, the adults would stand up the top of the hill watching them, and we get bored watching them. We get a ball of our own and we'd go down and play, like, you know. We actually played a good bit down. That was part of the world as well when I went to the Gaeltacht down there in Carna. We played a good bit. And in Spittle as well. That used to be great because, like, you know, not all the kids would play. So fellas who could play a little bit better, you know, you go down there and you know, have a bit of crack. You get far more ball than what you would in a Vincent's team or in an Parish team.
Yeah.
I doubt you won either.
Oh, jeez.
No interest in winning. Just give me the ball. Let me do something fun with it.
And what brought you from Donecarney out to Stockholm?
Oh, women. That's always the way. So she just came in there. I had to send her out again, you know. So, but I met a Swedish girl in Dublin in 1994. So, God almighty, I'm everybody's granddad by now. Like, that's 27 years ago. So I moved over here in 1999. She went, oh, you know, we'll try living in Sweden for a year or two. And I went, like, how did I fall for it? But it's a great country to live in, you know. And of course, having the Gaels, that helps as well. The last 10 or 12 years, it's been brilliant altogether.
And what's your role in the club then in general?
Well, I started the club together with a fella called Colin Courtney. So the two of us actually ended up putting posters up in the Irish pubs around Stockholm to begin with, And then I saw his poster and he saw my poster. And I went, I better contact that fella and see what the story is. So a few years previous to that, I've been in touch with a guy called Billy Finn. Billy's a Limerick man who's living in, I think he's living in Minnesota now. But he'd started Gothenburg GAA. And I don't know what it was that led me to go searching for something here. So I found out that there was a team down there and I was going to go down and play with them. And then I went, well, there's probably enough Irish people here to start a team of our own, And eventually I got round to it. And I found this fella, Colin Courtney, and Colin was over here and he was working with some other young Irish fellas. I went, this is brilliant. You might have a ready-made team out of these fellas, So we decided that, okay, we'll take down half the posters and we'll just stick with one of the email addresses. And we did. And we got our first training session together. I think there was like 6 lads in total playing into a pair of American football goalposts in a place called Yada, etc., Stockholm, And it was amazing because, you remember all the stuff. Or at least, up here you remember all the stuff, but your hands and your feet, everybody got it. I was like, a clown part of a situation. But some of the lads were absolutely brilliant. So from that then we had to have Sweden is very much Julia will back me up on this, right? So Sweden's very structured, it's very organized, it's not very Irish in that. So we did everything by the book from the very beginning in terms of we had an AGM. We had a meeting to establish the club. We had an AGM. We set up the committee. We got the bank account. We registered for tax. We registered with the city authorities. We registered as a sporting club and that. And this has been, has been from there. So I was kind of involved in this, but it's kind of like the mafia. I've been trying to get out for years, but I just can't. I'd rather sort of hand it over to the younger tyros, the younger talents like Emma and like Julia, and let them take it over. But Julia's on the committee this year, which is great, And the other great thing about it is that we always had a very strong presence from women in the club. So the moment we put up the posters, we had this message from an email from a Swedish girl called Anna Rundgård. And Anna had been, she'd been working in China and she'd been moving from one city to another. And they said to her, well, join the Gaelic club there. You'll make plenty of friends. She's gone, what's Gaelic football? She'd no idea. But when she came back down to Sweden, she contacted us immediately and she's gone, what are you doing about a ladies team here? We went, well, we're bringing you in to set it up. And she went, that's right. So that she put it up to us straight away. But it was fantastic altogether because that it put the women in focus straight away, in a way that maybe it wouldn't have happened, and not to be speaking ill of other clubs, but I think that focus and having women sort of front row center in the club really did give us a bit of a benefit, Jason, and it's still that way. So even when other clubs are struggling for numbers, sometimes we travel to tournaments like we did last year. I think Julia, were you down in Gothenburg last year? And we traveled with 2 teams and they played among themselves. They didn't even need another club, but just that's how engaged people are. So it's fantastic. But since then, I've been the chairman for 10 or 12 years. I actually don't think I'm allowed to be chairperson for this long, according to the GAA. I think the European GAA actually changed the rules somewhere along the line. So I'm put into the Vladimir Putin of Nordic GAA, but nobody wants to see that happen.
Yeah, that's the Philip clause, I think they call it in the GAA, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I've heard that one all right, yeah. And you mentioned pubs actually as well, Emma. Is there a specific Irish pub that you go and celebrate or drown the sorrows in after games?
Well, I have to say this one now because the owner is from Athenry in Galway. And if I don't say Beerstrums, he'll be absolutely lit with me. He'll be lit if I don't say it. So in Old Town, in Galmestown, it's called in Swedish. It's Old Town. There's 2 Irish pubs there. One is the Liffey and one is Beerstrums pub. So then there's another one, the Owl Dub as well, that's just a little bit down the street too. So we have three of the main ones that we go to, and we've had them as sponsors as well throughout the years and stuff like that. And we have a trophy cabinet in the Owl Dub, I believe. And then we have the jerseys are all in there as well, not signed, but framed. There's the word. They're all framed in there and stuff like that. So, but I'd be more partial now to go to Beerstrums if I'm going in to watch the football or the hurling or anything like that. So. Okay. It's very similar to a pub at home, a very cozy kind of old man pub, you'd say. And sure, I love those type of ones. Go in for the pint of Guinness and talk shite for hours and just watch the football with one eye and talk to someone on the other side. Yeah, so it works out really well.
Is there a man at the bar with a pint and the racing post and a farmer's hat on?
You can't really get the racing post over here, but he has the iPad with the racing post on it.
Okay, good enough. We'll take that. We'll take that. That's fine. Modern version of the old man at the bar with the racing post. So I'll take that. Julia,
it's 2021 now.
Oh yeah, I suppose. Yeah, Julia, what's a good night out with the Irish and the rest of the gang like?
Oh, I think it's just the best night I think is when it's football on in the day, and then we just continue drinking. It's just, I think that's the days. It's all along we've got a guitar or something, and it's dancing on the tables pretty much. Not anymore. I know we went out for 1 or 2 nights last year, and the barmen all had to chase us, be like, you need to sit down, you're not allowed to stand up dancing, like, come on guys. And then 5 seconds later everyone was just up on the floor again, and so they were chasing us around the bar.
Oh, you're a real GA team then. That's definitely true. I can take that anyway. So is there Emma, do you remember your first game, your debut?
My debut was the 2015 Nordic Championship. We played in Bergsamra, I believe, where is that? Or is that the north side of Stockholm?
It's in Dónal, on the north side of Stockholm,
Yeah. And I had only been with the team, I'd say maybe that tournament was in like the summer, I think it was in August. And the only reason I can remember it so well is because it was like one of the hottest days of the year, and we're all completely sunburnt by the end of it. We were absolutely tomatoes going around the place, but it was lovely. Like, we won, and we were like, this is great. But I had only been part of the team maybe 3 or 4 months before that.
Okay.
And yeah, we had Malmo were there. I think it was mostly just Malmo, and we had big rivalry between them. Like, so we were like, we're definitely going to win. No matter what happens, we're going to win. So,
sounds good.
But it was really good. Like, it was great because everyone got like equal playing time. We helped each other as much as we could. We subbed in, we subbed out. And like, I know we all do it at home with the clubs and stuff like that, but it felt like it was like second nature. It was really good fun. Everyone was so supportive. All the other teams were as well. The men were playing, we were playing on one pitch, let's say on the left-hand side, and the men were down on another pitch on the right-hand side. So we had like, the schedule was, I'd say the men would play one game, and then there'd be like the women's would play, and we go and watch them, and they'd come and watch us. So there was a lot of support between all of the teams and all of the clubs that were there.
Okay, sounds cool.
And I think the men, if I remember correctly, the men and the women won both.
That's
that
right.
Year. Yeah, that year. And then we done exactly what Julia said. We went into the pub and we had drinks at the pitch and everything, and cans and all that kind of stuff, and big sunburned faces. Went home, had a shower. Everyone's like, no, I'm not sunburned, it's fine. And then you look at photos the next day, you're like, yes, we were very much sunburned.
Yeah.
It was a good day.
Yeah,
it was actually Parish started up his own sort of microbrewery that day, and he had brought a load of beer for everybody to sample, that they were selling for peanuts, So even by the time people got but even that day, actually, I remember Louise Quinn, who plays soccer for Ireland, she's from Wicklow, and she would have played Gaelic football, but she was playing over here as a professional in Eskilstuna, and she got in the car and she drove up whatever the 100 kilometers. She was standing on the sideline. She was mad to go, but if anything had happened to her, there's no way insurance would cover it. So she was, but that was a brilliant. But those tournaments, just in general, the big difference is that it's a long day, so you can start playing football at 9 o'clock in the morning, and it's these short, sharp bursts, and it makes it really tough. And as Emma was saying, you could be out like the summers over here, brilliant. So if you're playing football in June or in August here, you'll get burdened into the ground if you're not careful. And it's a real test of stamina. For the girls, it could be 6, 7, 8, 9 aside, depending on the numbers. But those games be 7 to 10 minutes each way. And if you make one tiny mistake, that's it. And probably the absolute best memory I have of the people who's involved in this particular conversation is Julia a couple of years ago out in a place called Scoutneck. We battled for years to try to get a facility where we could be. And in this one big field, they basically put all the sports that Swedish people don't fucking understand, right? There's a baseball diamond, and there's a rugby pitch, and there's fucking cricketers, and there's a whole lot. And they went, Gaelic football, we have no idea who you people are, right? So let's put you in there as well. And that day, we played the whole season, and it just came down to the last game against Malmo. And I was standing there on the sideline filming the thing. And, you're trying to film it. We were broadcasting it live on YouTube. So there was people in Galway watching it, and Cork, Cross McGlenn, the whole lot. But I'm trying to mind me P's and Q's as I'm going, because I know the people's mothers are watching this, And the next thing, the stoppage time, and we're down by a point, and Julia gets the ball in the box, and I was going, oh, please God. And she absolutely buried it in the back of the net. And it was that was just the greatest moment for me. And I couldn't react the way I would normally react. I still went bananas. Yeah, because I've known Julia and Julia's sister, and Julia's sister's her partner is a really good friend of mine from playing soccer for the last God knows how long, and just to see somebody that, we didn't have this in the beginning, like this wasn't something we shared in the very beginning. I think I knew Julia even long before the club even started, but then to have somebody like that to come into our club and to be such a huge part of our club, to the extent that she's on the committee now, and she's played, she won a championship with her right boot that day, and to be in that situation, Jason, that is just the bringing together of the two worlds for us. And if I look at my own thing of being down in Carna and learning the Irish language, and to have all these things coming together in this thing, geez, you couldn't make it up. Like, it's just brilliant,
Yeah, they're the kind of things that I look for as kind of part of the inspiration, I suppose, behind this idea of the podcast, like doing all the traveling and seeing, the crack that goes on in all these places, but yet getting no major recognition, I suppose, back home here. Like, yeah, they might know some of you exist, but like when I said to a few of the lads the other night, I was like, I've got another team in Sweden called Luleå. And they were like, where the fuck is that? So they ended up having to get out Google Maps, like, try and find it. But like, I was like, there's plenty of Irish, around there. So there's Irish literally everywhere. Like, so, and it's just trying to get out kind of like, I've been blessed, like I've got to go to like nearly 100 countries in the world, and I've seen some, unbelievable things, but you only bring it back in photos and in your head, whereas something like this kind of offers you a chance to give an audience and, get the clubs to kind of give their kind of side of things and see what the GAA, the GAA is outside the counties of Ireland, and it's in my eyes, it's kind of about time that somebody kind of tried to give the likes of Stockholm and others around the world, a bit of recognition. And now that we've uncovered that Julia Kelson is a championship GAA winner with her right boot, all the more important that we mention it. So.
Yeah, you can just cut out all of us and just put that little segment in, talking about her.
Fine. And be like, fine with me. It's fine.
Yeah, it's just a track.
I've won now. It must be like, I think we won like 5 or 6. So
yeah,
I think that was the one in 2018, was it?
Yeah.
I wasn't there.
2018, like that was. Oh, you were at a wedding that day, Richard, weren't you?
Yeah, and it wasn't my own either. Everyone thought I was getting married.
I mean, it was your own wedding. I could have understood you not showing up, but I couldn't believe
that was the best part. Everyone was asking me, was Emma was getting married? And I was like, do you think I would be here if Emma was getting married? Like, I would have been invited. I feel offended that you think she's getting married and I'm not there.
Because the reception or the wedding was at like 2 or something like that, or 3. It was quite a late wedding. So I said, okay, I'll come out in the morning and I'll see what I can do and like give you like a bit of help or whatever and just, support you, I suppose. And I literally got there, and as Philip had said, there was literally every sort of sport you could think of on at the same time.
Yeah.
And I was having an absolute panic attack because I was like, where will I park the car? How will I get there to say good luck? How will I do this? How will I go back and get ready for this wedding? Like, how will I do all of these things? And then I was just like, just literally park the car on a curb. I was like, oh, well, if I get a ticket, I get a ticket. And off I went. So I was like, all right, guys, how are you? How's it going? Everyone's like, where's your boots? I was like, oh, I can't play. And they're like, so you play one quick game? I was like, no, because if I play one quick game, I'm going to end up in a cast and there'll be no wedding for me. And I think because I had said that, everyone's like, oh, she's getting married. God, she kept that very quiet. I was like, no. That's not what's happening.
That's brilliant. That's class. Yeah, that's.
You couldn't convince us otherwise, because we were going, okay, Emma, you would definitely go to a wedding in the cast, so it can't be that. The conversation that whole week, because obviously, when you're coming up to tournaments, and there's so few tournaments, Jason, so it's like 3 major tournaments a year, and nobody wants to miss them. Like, I remember missing one in the first season that we had. I missed a tournament over in Oslo, and we had lost the final of the first tournament against Malmo. We lost by 6 points to 4. It was the most awful game of football I've ever seen, just because we ran out of steam. We didn't have enough players, and then we were going to Oslo. And I actually thought, because I had 2 very young children at that point. They would have been, 6 and 4, I'd say they probably were at that point. And I was actually sort of trying to, we're going to do the whole 2 weeks driving around Ireland, this kind of thing, meeting all the people that you never get a chance to meet. And I was going, okay, well, if I leave on a Friday night, can I get back on the Sunday morning kind of thing? And my wife was going, if you leave on the Friday night, you're never coming back again. But that's it. You literally do anything when you have that chance, And last year down in Gothenburg, our A team was playing our B team. I was playing for the B team, and one of our lads tackled me, and I went over my shoulder after 90 seconds. I was going, could you at least give me one game before you hurt me, lads? It really is. And we've seen people joining, as Emma says there, just for one game and running off, or arriving late or something. People coming from work. We've had a lot of fellas working over here with software for banks. So for big finance houses. And you'll see a fella there, you see a fella going on a corner forward and going, okay, now if the phone rings, call me, because we're doing a rollout today, and I'm actually supposed to be at the desk, and you'll see, and it's great to see the dedication to it.
That's the commitment to the GAA, though, yeah. So even like the guys up in Leo were saying to me,
Leo,
yeah, they were saying I was asking them about a day for a chat, and they were like, Friday's probably not the best day because a lot of our team, like, we've trained on Thursday night. A lot of them fly to Stockholm on Friday to fly home to Ireland and then to fly back again. Like, that's serious commitment to, like, staying with the GAA, but also, like, staying, I suppose, committed to where you are as well, like up in the sticks, I suppose, as I would say, up in the sticks of Sweden, up at the top there, because I don't know what's up there, to be honest. So
there's basically reindeer and very little else. Reindeer and data centers, I think, is where it's at now. So
okay.
Rudolph is on Facebook.
Okay, fair enough. I'll take that. So yeah, Julia, who do you consider to be the biggest, your biggest rivals?
Oh, Malmo for sure.
Okay.
There's only one answer to that. Gothenburg had a ladies team a couple of years, but it's not the same. Like, it's always been Malmo. Malmo is the biggest rival, both for the ladies and the men's team. It's always the best games, the roughest games, every tournament. Those are the ones to beat.
That's a few times now that you've said that you like the rough games. I think you would fit in very well in a county team over here, to be honest.
What's fascinating, Jason, right, is when you start to play these games for the first time, and especially, like, we talk about transferable skills, we have to look at the games completely differently from what you do at home, because when you're in Ireland, you grow up watching this, but Julia didn't, right? So if we're going to explain the game to Julia's friends, or to her partner, or to anybody else, right, we have to come up with a whole different set of words, right? One word you absolutely cannot use is rugby, right? If you say rugby to a Swedish person, they go, I am not fucking doing that. There's no way. So we can't use that word. So I'm sure you did play, when you were younger in Småland, I'm sure you played Olympic handball, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where we get the parallel, right? A, because you can put your hands on the ball, but B, there's also a level of physicality in that game that Julia goes, okay, I know what that's about. I get that, and I'm not afraid of that, right? So we have to sort of, frame the game and explain the game in a completely different way to what we would, if we were to meet somebody in Dublin who never played football before, we go, oh, do you want to go play football? They know what it is. They've seen it before. Whereas here, it's totally different. And we also have to do things. We did a thing last year, in October of last year, for one of the whiskey companies. I don't know if you have sponsors, so I won't mention the name, right? But one of the whiskey companies here asked us if we would do a day of Gaelic football for 2 hours for bartenders. And we said, absolutely. So we did it on a very cold, wet autumn afternoon. And we decided that, if we're going to teach people to play Gaelic football in 2 hours, that's not very long, right? So we had to remove the solo. And we have so many players now that just don't solo the ball at the moment because we haven't come that far in their development yet. So in the beginning, we used to talk at the girls' training when I was coaching the ladies' team, and we were talking about learning the basic skills of the game. And we talked about basketball arse a lot, right? Which is where you get the ball for the first time. You don't know what to do, so you just stick your arse out and you just hope that that's going to protect you. And my thing would be, no, just run with the fucking thing and bounce it, So, we really have to look at it in a different way. But the upside of that is that when we can explain it, we never had to explain it to Julia because she's just a natural, right? But when we have to explain it to other people, then they get it and they go, okay. And I think that's where we've seen so many other teams. Malmo always had a sort of a strong core. You'd have girls who go off and have a baby, they come back again. And it's, the great thing about a rivalry is meeting the same players, and you win one and they win one, and the chance for revenge. With a lot of the clubs, like Gothenburg, for instance, the Tallinn club in Estonia doesn't actually exist anymore, but they were, around for a couple of years. They were great crack. Right. In Jyväskylä in Finland, they're students, so they change every year. You don't know who you're going to be meeting, Okay. Yeah. But to have that rivalry, you need people to keep coming back. And I think to do that, you kind of have to think about how you, like, what plays women have in the club and how you teach them to play the game. Because if they're non-native players, it's like anything else. If I was to bring you, I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but you want to feel competent. You want to feel like you're not wasting time here, that you're not getting handed your arse every minute of every game. And that's the thing. We seem to have worked out a way, or the girls seem to have worked out a way. And, it's not to be underestimated, the social impact. Such a wonderful bunch of women in terms of really supportive of one another. They help one another. They help. Emma's brilliant for coaching girls. She goes, oh, try this, think of this, try this. You need to be here, you need to be there, in a positive way, not saying you dumb bastard, do whatever. She says that sometimes. That
sometimes.
Being able to do that and make people feel welcome, and to make them feel confident and competent is one of those things. And it's not by, it's kind of by accident that we got there. We noticed these things as we went along. But I think that's part of it, if, for people, other clubs around Europe or Asia or whatever, to think of things in that way instead. It doesn't come naturally to everyone.
Yeah, no, that's kind of been a theme, I suppose, in a few clubs as well. Just I even asked that question, like I had the guys from Argentina on recently enough, like, and I had a guy, Santiago O'Reilly, hurling in Argentina, down in Patagonia, and it's the same kind of, in my head, I was kind of running through the same things. I was like, where did this come from? And yeah, the stories are kind of kind of similar as well. I have to ask as well, since you mentioned sort of sponsorship and stuff, Emma, what's the sponsorship setup like for you guys? Is it easy enough to pick up sponsors, or have you had to do a lot of work?
I mean, the past couple of years with COVID and stuff like that, because we haven't been able to have any tournaments, any proper ones. We don't have any solid sponsors at the moment. But I think if you're going to talk about sponsorship, you're two people here on the committee that can answer that better than me, because I'm not as glued in this time.
Julia, who's your sponsors? Or
I think we just, correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, we just have 2 new sponsors. So I don't know how much if it's quite official yet, or if we're still in negotiations there.
The form. So in the beginning, we had, the only people we could go to were the Irish pubs. So we went to the Liffey and the L Dub, which was called the Dubliner at the time. But in the beginning, I told them that I wasn't going to let either of them have their name on the jersey, right? So we had there's a wonderful man here called Liam Kennedy, who owned an engineering company, and he sponsored the first kit. And then I was lucky enough to get the chance to write a book about the Stockholm Gaels and how we started it up. So as part of the deal with the publisher, they gave us a set of jerseys for the women, and we put their logo on it in the beginning, but it's a struggle because, like, as Emma was mentioning there, the L Dub haven't had a dime to give us over the last year because of COVID, but the advent of these data centers has been a good thing, because it's not just that they want to get their brand out there, but they also want to look after their employees. They want to look after the people who are over here sitting up in Luleå. So they're actually quite happy to put money in. So it's actually become a little bit easier the last year or two in one way, but it's become difficult in another. It's sort of shifted from hospitality into these engineering companies who have 200, 300, 400 people working here, And the difficult thing is always to find value. It's to find, obviously we can help them out by giving their lads something to do and their ladies something to do every evening. We had a girl down yesterday from Yavla called Kayla. Do you remember her playing yesterday, Julia? She was fantastic. She was a brilliant footballer altogether. But she's going to try and get the rest of the girls that are up there out, get them training and that. And it's great for the mental health and the physical health, So we have to change how we offer them value. For us, if you can have your name on the jersey, that's a brilliant thing. It's going to be in some photographs. But we only play 3 tournaments a year. So the benefit would be to sponsor, if we were to start a podcast, or if we were to have, our training kit sponsored by them instead. So, there's a constant discussion around that about what, and different people want different things. The pubs basically want to sponsor you because they want you to come to their pub and celebrate it. And all the pubs here have been very, very generous. And we've sort of, we've done the rounds of them the whole time, and we have our Christmas dinner there. The Christmas dinners are usually one of the highlights of the year, So when you get, a Swedish chef trying to do turkey and ham, it's just the funniest thing in the world,
And the Brussels sprouts.
But just before you started, Emma, I think it must have been 2013 when we had a Christmas dinner in the Dubliner, and they had a chef from Dublin called Sean Beattie, who had been a member of the club and played in a couple of championship teams for the club. But he actually made Christmas puddings, and it was brilliant because Julia wouldn't eat hers, so I took hers. All the other Swedish players that tasted, I went, I'm not fucking eating that. So about 6 months of Christmas pudding, and Niall Scullion had the rest. And that was the second greatest day of my life after Julia's.
That's brilliant. They're the kind of stories you remember, though, aren't they? Like the ones of the Christmas dinner with the club and all that. So
I still have the evidence here.
I think in fairness, a lot of people still have Christmas evidence even coming into May and June. So there's a few kind of last questions that I throw to all the clubs, and then there's a little kind of quick fire round at the end, and they're themed ones. So your ones are obviously Swedish themed questions, which the guys in Luleå will also get when they come on down the line as well. But I have to ask Emma, probably ask you this one. Every club has its stereotypical Irish lunatic on the pitch. Who's Stockholm's finest?
I don't know. I think the 2 people that are on this with me would probably say that it's me.
Okay.
But
it's Emma, 100%.
Yeah,
I'm mad for the cans. So whenever we go for tournaments, I always have a big bag of cans.
Right.
And I always I share as well. I don't just sit in the corner on my own. There's times for that, but not when you're at a tournament.
Yeah.
And just always having the crack and always having fun, and going around with supporting the men's team and just rising people. That's all I do all day long. So people think that I'm the crazy one.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, that's the way to go about it as well. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
She's our great asset as Ridger. We all love her. You can't be in a bad humor. Even when she loses her temper with you, you just can't be in a bad mood. Even when she's angry with you, you're angry with her.
I don't know if Malmo would agree with that now, but I'm glad.
Well, not about them. We let them speak for themselves when they get on. If they get on the podcast,
I haven't got a touch with them yet, to be honest.
You may as well leave it. You may as well leave it.
Yeah.
Them, it's fine.
We'll tell you what you need to know.
Philip, if I ask you as well, I suppose the men's team first, is there a traditional karaoke song of choice in the men's side?
Thankfully, there's not. There's a couple of very good singers. You have Kevin O'Neill, who's over here. He's working on an internship at the moment, and we're hoping to keep him. So he's an absolutely brilliant singer. So the last couple of years, anytime there's ever been an event, you always know it's a serious event if Kev is asked to bring the guitar. So Kevin is bringing the guitar for you there, So we did have we had a Niall Scullion who used to play with the club, and until he discovered golf, he used to play inter-county for Antrim. And in the very beginning, he started off, as our sort of hard-running midfielder, sort of half-back, and always on the ball, getting the keys going, and everything else like that. And then, he's a tough enough fella as well, fairly hard in the tackle and fairly hard in the referee. And then he starts to sing, and he's like Aled Jones. It's like listening to a choir boys. And that was the weird thing. So, but Kev O'Neill has taken over for him now, and he writes his own song. Fantastic. Okay. There's extremely talented people in the club.
I like that, yeah. That's good. Hughley, is there on the ladies' side, if you got a karaoke song of choice?
Oof. I don't know if I have a karaoke song. I don't think so. We don't do much karaoke here. It's
no.
It's something we need to start, I think, for this season.
The country that has brought us the greatest musical band ever doesn't have a karaoke song.
No.
Sad, isn't it? No. Normally what we do is after tournaments and stuff like that, if someone just puts on Westlife, everyone just goes absolutely crazy. Even the Swedes, because everybody knows it. Yeah. So I remember we were in, was it Malmo a few years ago? No, Helsinki. We went to Helsinki two or 3 years ago, and we played a tournament and everything, and it was really really good crack. A cold enough day now as well, but the women played first and the women won, and then the lads were playing, and it was absolutely nail biting stuff. It was really hard tackles, as Phil said, all this kind of stuff, and we were all there wrapped up and cans in the hand and stuff like this. We all went back to the hotel. We're okay, we'll all get ready to go to the dinner. We'll all do this, we'll all do that. And all day during the day, Owen Sheedy, who used to be one of the coaches, and Captain Barry kept telling me that there was a pub with a tractor in the pub. And I said, oh my God, I have to go. If I don't go to this pub with a tractor, I am what's the point? What is the point? So I kept talking about it all day. So we came back to the hotel, and we were all okay, we'll all go in and have a shower. And someone said, oh, we're going into this room and we're going to have a few cans. The next thing it turned out that there was 50 of us nearly in a room, bouncing on the bed, singing to Westlife, going absolutely crazy. And then I was okay, I'm going to have a shower because I'm going to go to the pub now and see the tractor. And we're standing at the door. There's me, Owen Sheedy, Captain Barry standing at the door ready to leave. And we turned around and there's everyone else. Okay, we're going to go with you. So everybody from the team came with us. And we're okay, let's go. Came into this pub and there was 2 or 3 tractors. Everyone got a drink. Everyone's really hyper and pumped up after we won the game and all this stuff. And then next thing, one of the lads, Joe Corliss from Mayo, just starts slapping the tractor and starts singing My Little Honda 50. And everyone just burst out, starts singing My Honda 50 in the middle of this pub in the middle of Helsinki. And it was brilliant. 7 o'clock in the evening. And it was it's one of my best memories of the whole tournament the past 5 or 6 years. Everyone, just people that didn't even really know the words, were just Honda 50 and just going crazy. And it was really, really good fun. And there was I'd say there must have been at least 50, 60 of us in there. And there was poor people there trying to have their dinner and trying to have all this stuff. And we'd all, once again, the barman, please now, can you be quiet? People having dinner. And us acting like it was 2 o'clock in the morning and it's only 6, 7 o'clock in the evening.
That's brilliant.
That was the first tournament my daughter played in. She just turned 15.
That's true.
We went back to the hotel, and I actually sat with Owen Sheedy and the lads and Joe, and we sat down in the lobby. And Emma had said, let's go up to the room with us. And I was looking at Bridget going, now, if that young one comes back down here sounding like that, you're in trouble. So this one's on you. Not to worry, she'll be mad. So she went downstairs, and she came down and she had the time of her life. But what we had done, because you can get an overnight boat, you take the boat overnight, you arrive in Helsinki in the morning, then you get back in the boat in the evening, you come back here. So our boat was leaving at 6 o'clock. And I said to her, okay, we're going to go. And she was kind of like, she'd had such crack up there. She was just worn out even after 2 hours of it, you know. Well, Ridger was only getting going. That was only the start of Ridge.
Yeah.
That's class.
She's still playing with us, though. She's still there, you know. So.
Yeah. Your first impression, in fairness, obviously was a good one on her. So if she's still hanging around,
hopefully.
In fairness, so, yeah. I have to ask him as well. Actually, have you introduced Julia and the Swedish community to Marty Morrissey or Des Cahill after the Sunday game?
They've kind of had a few of them. Like, we've had a few things done. Pat O'Mahony was over here making a radio documentary about us, and then we've had the book coming out, and we've had a bit of sort of stuff in the media there. We've been on the radio, but like, it's not, being fans of the game hasn't really come into it yet for the non players, right? So it's more to do with playing the game ourselves and having that crack. So luckily, so far we've managed to spare them from Marty Morrissey, but Marty is all encompassing. So eventually they will come across him, and Des Cahill as well, you know.
Yeah, lovely.
Actually, now that I think of it, actually, when we did write the book about the Gaels, Micheál and Weirhertig was very kind, and he wrote the foreword to it. And we went down to play in Belgium. I think it was in 2012. We were playing down in Leuven in Belgium. We were playing the Europeans. So we had the men and the women there, and Micheál was there because his sons have played abroad as well. He goes out to the Asian Games on occasion as well. So Micheál was there, and he asked him to commentate on the final, you know. But before the final, I went over and I said, Micheál, thanks very much for writing the forward of the book. I said, all the Stockholm Gaels are over here. We'd really love you just to come over and say hello. And he came over and he sat down there. There's Dónal Buckley popping in there now. He came over and we started to introduce him to everybody. And it was Ciara. What's Ciara's surname? It's Mulligan. Ciara Mulligan. So we have Ciara Mulligan from County Monaghan, and we're introducing everybody. Oh, this is John Carroll. He used to play in Dublin, and this is Kevin Carroll from up north. And we got to Ciara Mulligan, and he says, "This is I know who this is," says Micheál. She played in an All Ireland for Monaghan, and he actually remembered the young one. And the rest of us, the whole night, were just going around going, "Oh, we're not worthy. We're not worthy." If Micheál Weirhertig knows your name, that means you're a halfway decent footballer, right?
Yeah. That's definitely true. Yeah, that's class. In fairness, his memory is absolutely it's outrageous. In fairness, so Dónal, you're welcome to the last 5 minutes. How are things?
Oh fuck! I thought I was 7 o'clock.
Not to worry. Don't worry. We'll get you. We'll get you a few questions. Don't worry. We'll be grand. What shirt have you on there?
Barbarians.
I was thinking, whereabouts are you from originally?
Oh, a place called Castle Island, County Kerry.
Oh, sure, I know it well, yeah.
Yeah,
I have family in Ballintemple in Cork, and they own a place in Waterville, and I've been down to Kerry many times. I jobbed.
You passed through it, so did you?
I have. I job share with a girl from Tralee as well. So, and she got married in Dingle, and I've been down to Kerry. I'd say more than any other county in Ireland at this stage. So
Philip's grandfather was from Kerry.
Was indeed, Rathmore.
Yeah,
so
very good.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
You keep that quiet when it's All Ireland final day.
I was going to say, he didn't say too much about that at the start. So,
what, the All Ireland final? I don't want to be plenty of them. Brilliant. Give the other fuckers a chance as well.
Another recent memory.
I love the other fellas a chance as well.
I love the way you brought out a Kerry badge to talk about All Ireland finals when they hasn't won in a long time either. So
we'll be back.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm late. I beg your pardon about that. That's serious apologies about that. I didn't know it.
That's okay. I'd be used to Kerry people not turned up on time anyway, so it's fine. I wouldn't worry about
it. Right. So I want to know. I can't tell you nothing about Phil. He's already paid me. I can't tell you nothing about him.
Yeah, that's all right. He's told us bits and pieces in fairness. So I'll ask you, Dónal. I suppose I'll backtrack a little bit and ask you what's your experience with the club then.
Oh well, Jesus, I was there. Well, I was delighted to see the GAA start off, and especially here in Stockholm. And I remember the first game down in what they call it, Osterman's EP. Geez, that was great crack altogether. Like, it was great to see all the Irish people there and so on and so forth. And my kids were young at the time, and I was living outside the city, and I had a great urge to go in and things like that. Like, so the nearer I came to the city, so I fell in there with the ladies. I fell in there with the ladies football team and that, like, and geez, with some fucking mighty players. I mean, cracking players all together. Like, I mean, we had people from the Lebanon, here in Sweden, we had people from South America, we had people from all over the place, like. And I tell you this now, I'm not blackguarding you now, I'm telling the truth. If you train the men's team, you'd ask them to do something. And they'll give you every goddamn excuse going. You'd ask the ladies to do something. If you ask them to go through a wall, they'd fucking go through a wall for them. They were like that. They were just mentally ready for it all the time. But it was easy to train them. It was easy because we had between 52 and 60 training sessions a year. Like.
Yeah.
Skills, movements. We went out against the other teams. Jeez, we were over, where were we? I think it was over in Helsinki one time we were. And the coach comes up to me before the game.
Is this the pub with the tractor in it?
No, I don't think it was this one.
But way before that.
I won't tell you nothing about the night, so I'll just tell you what the fuck was. I'm going to be straight now, like. So we were at the car, we were over, and this fella, a nice guy, like, a lovely guy, a gentleman, like, he comes over and he says, you're doing well. I says, well, we're doing all right, like, you know, we're training away, and how are you doing, and are you training? And he was telling me his story, and so on and so forth. And I had the girls riled up this year. Fucking, let's go on out here, like, we're training hard for this, that, like, on a fucking plane or a train or a boat to get off to this place, like. And then we defined our game and everything. It was a bit of a trek, like, but we got there in the end. But you know, man, comes over and the game, we did our pleasantries and the game started. And I think Phil and Vincent were there, like Kieran Mulligan and things like that. Like, I had Mulligan in full back. And I had this other lady called Captain Barry. She's about 5'2". I had her playing midfield. Oh, fucking cracker. She's a cracker altogether, like. The quietest woman off the field. The quietest woman off the field. But when she crosses the white line, I swear to God, the devilment is in her eyes. Madness altogether, like. We went out in there, and I think it was, actually, geez, half-time rolled around, and we were about 3-8 to 2 points up. And the man makes a beeline over the fucking field to me. I says, what the fuck is this for the match? Like, did I just quit the call off the game or something? Like, that's what I was thinking, like. And the man says to me, all my players are crying. Look at him, like, what has that got to do with me? He says, I thought you were going to give us a chance. I says, fuck off now, back to your fucking side. There's no fucking chance here, boy. When we put the foot on the throat, the foot is fucking staying on the throat, like. There's no fucking around at all, like. Oh, that was some crack altogether, like. But any time then we were down in, where were we? We were playing against Brussels.
He's gone again. He's back again, he's gone again.
We're back. I don't know.
It's a bit like the Kerry footballers.
Jeez. You said that. I didn't say a word.
Phil, your fucking blood is green, just like. Can you hear me?
Now you're grand.
You should hear me. No.
That's the first time I've ever.
Just off the microphone.
I know I've ever seen anyone blow on a keyboard in the hope that it would fix their instrument.
You know what they do down in Kerry.
No, that's definitely. Did the Healy Rays teach you that trick? Did they?
Oh, yeah. Never heard of them.
Never heard of them, of course not. Yeah. Deny it. Always deny it. Yeah.
Never heard of them, fellas. I'm from that. Yeah. Listen, what was I going to say to you? Oh yeah, we were over in Brussels.
Your Belgium story, yeah.
No, we were over in Brussels, that's like, and what they call it, this is not really like Brussels. Are the best team there, like that's like, and all you know the Mars and the Owners and everything. And they were all playing with Brussels. They were all MEP secretaries and straight over from Cork and Kerry, and they're all getting the job, the easy job, the civil servant job, like you know the pension job. That was fine anyway. That's like, and Brussels were the best team in Europe at the time, and we were gauging ourselves against them, and we kept them. We were with them until half time, and in the second half, then you could see the old skills. Like they were beautiful players. There was no denying it. You could see they were playing from 6-7 years old. Like they were great players at that time. But anyway, I didn't like it. And I started you got the roars and things like that, like, you know, and we was shout here and shout there and things like that, like. And after the game, went up and shook hands with the referee and made sure everyone shook hands. And there was this one, and I could see her coming. I turned my head away and I kind of ignored her. That like. She comes over to me. Who the fuck do you think you are? I said, fuck do you think you are? I said, Peter, one of this. Are you from Kerry? I said, I'm from Kerry. Where are you from? I'm from Kerry as well. I'm from Curlow, Killen Tierna, she says to me. Now, colour's only over the road for me. And I know it well. I know it all. Like, I know all the guys, the boys played me in football against them, the whole lot. My God, we don't know all think that crowd. And she says to me, I'm Brusnan. And I said, are you Páidí Spud sister? Don't you say nothing but portrait like that to me. I says, well, you fuck off back there. You know nothing about football. Get the fuck off there. That's it. So the girls were asking me, did I know her? I didn't know her at all. She was Páidí Bud's sister. And Páidí was the same age as me, and one's about fucking 8 or 9 years younger. I didn't know it at all. But that was fine, and forgot all about it until I came back to Stockholm. I suppose I arrived back in Stockholm, and it must have been about 7 o'clock in the evening, 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening. And I seen I was after missing phone calls from my mother. I said, oh, what the fuck's going on now with that? Like, you know, my father's all right. And I get on the phone, and Mom, it's going here. Is everything all right? Is everything all right? I said, yeah, is Dad all right? Yeah, is Dermot all right? My brother and sister, are they all right? Yeah. I said, why are you ringing me so much? What were you up to over the weekend? I was down in Europe playing football. That's like, I heard all about you. And you cursing and blinding. What was it called? Mary Brusnan's daughter. I heard all about it. For fuck's sake, Mom. She fucking deserved every fucking thing she got. I said, you don't do that to I'm 30 years old, like, at that time, like. And my mother giving out to me for fucking the head off and an old neighbour over the road. You can't go nowhere, boy. You can't go nowhere. Nowhere. As simple as that.
Have you ever, Philip, have you ever thought about setting up a Dónal on his own, like, show?
Dónal is a one-man show right enough, you know. The one thing we regret over all the years is that he's one of the best coaches we've ever had in the club, and I don't think without him the women's team would be as good as and as strong as they are today. But we've never got him to kick a ball for the men's team at all, you know. And that's you know, before this all ends up and the two of us retire, I think we'll have to get him out there just to play cornerback someday, you know. I wouldn't mind putting the ball into the edge of the square.
I'm corner forward. I was always.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll share the two corner. You and me up corner forward now and just let them put the ball in there. That'll do us. Like the bomber.
Mikey Sheehy, go! Go, play!
That except the Stockholm colours, Jason. That's what we're looking for.
I was going to say, Philip, do you notice though the way, not slagging, but do you notice how far back he had to go to find a Kerry full forward line that was that strong?
I can talk about my sister. I can talk about that.
I'm joking. Don't worry. I can't.
What was this? Are you from Carlow?
I'm not from Carlow. Jeez, no, I'm not from Meath either. Mother of God.
Where are you from?
I'm from Páidí's second home. Now, that'll test you.
I'm so happy the camera's on.
Yeah, so have I. 2004, walking up the steps of Crow Park.
Blow on the keyboard there. Blow on the keyboard. I can't hear you. Blow on the keyboard.
That'll be Westmeath, Dónal. Westmeath, the finest.
That's where your man the Rainier fella's from, isn't it?
It is, yeah. My wife teaches his son. Yeah, I know all about him.
I tell you, boy, Páidí was a lucky man to fall in with him. There was the fucking money, boy. There was the money.
I don't think he didn't give that much because he fucking left 400,000 in debt to County Board as after all was done. So I think the helicopter cost more than he let on, to be honest.
Oh, that was some crack by the helicopter. There were some dilly stories about the helicopter. The helicopter did detours all over the place, like.
It picked up two of my friends from the Scorn and Oak final in Killarney and dropped them next to the pitch in Mullingar for a challenge game for Westmeath about half an hour after. It was the most, and I thousands. I'd say it cost thousands to drop them like to the challenge game. It was made.
He picked up the Gooch. The Gooch was qualifying from her. He was finishing up his college and things like that. Like, and he had a game over in was it Killarney or something. He had a game for some stadium. Picked him up straight after the presentation, you know, with the motor board.
Yeah.
That thing. Then like dropped him to dropped him to the Crokes football pitch, where there was an under 14 game going on at the time. The Gooch got out. Páidí was inside waving, and the Páidí went off again.
Wow, they're the kind of stories you don't get unless you live down that part of the world, I suppose. I know. Yeah. You, what do you make of Dónal's stories all the time? Do you like listening to them or?
I love listening to them. I can't say anything else. Dónal was my first coach. He taught me everything I know about Gaelic football.
Yeah. He seems like a man who knows what he's at. In fairness, I think he'd be a solid coach. So there's a few last questions I'm going to throw at you guys, and then there's a few of the Swedish teamed ones as well. So where am I here? Emma, if you guys, the girls in Stockholm, could take on a county back in Ireland, who would you most like a crack at?
I should go away, obviously.
A team that you might actually beat.
Geez, I don't know now. To be fair, I would like to play Galway. I'd like to play the Galway ladies team, to be fair, because they have a strong team, and a couple of the girls that are playing on the Galway panel, I don't know if they're playing this year, but they played last year. I trained with them years ago when we were younger.
All right.
So it'd be good to try to play against them again.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, their fitness levels will be like million times better than me, but just for the experience of it.
Yeah, Sinead Burke, who retired recently, taught with me. We taught together in a small school together up in Dublin, and Sin Bin Burke, as I refer to her as several times, because I went to see her play a couple of games, and she got Sin Bin in both of them. So she's not known as Sinead to me anymore. So let me see, where will I go? I'll ask around this one, I suppose. Philip, maybe I'll start with you. This is putting a few of you on the spot here, but who's the greatest GAA player ever in your lifetime?
Oh, that's a really hard one to answer, because I'm gonna have to give it to Dónal here. Fellas like the Gooch and Maurice Fitzgerald, they were just brilliant football. Watching Maurice Fitzgerald play football, he's kind of the same size and height as me, with the difference is that man has an enormous amount of talent for the game, and I've none. But there's been so many super footballers. If you look at, probably, and I'd be a little bit biased here, Dermot Connolly is a Vincent's man. His father taught me in art school Reach, and I think Dermot probably, the difference between Dermot and say Maurice Fitzgerald or the Gooch or that is that Dermot could pretty much play in any position in the field if you wanted him to. And he proved that when he went over and he played in Boston. I think he was playing centre half back because he just figured, I'm going to get less. But Dermot is such an incredibly skillful player, and one of those very few pure two-footed players, right? So an awful lot of players might be kicking with their weaker foot and they're just hoping for the best, their chances around. But Dermot had such control off both feet that I'd say probably him, or if I want to go back to the men that inspired me, it would probably have to be Jimmy Keaveney, because Jimmy was just such an incredible kicker at the dead ball. He was an incredible man to get a goal. He just had an enormous intelligence for a full forward. And when I was growing up, my father always used to talk to me about trying to play like him, not always making the score yourself, but always making the right decision and always doing the best thing for the team. And Jimmy did that both for our local club, and he did it for the Dubs. And without him, we probably wouldn't have men like him and Kevin Heffernan. They sort of fed into the whole thing of what the Dubs are today. I know that many of them are sort of dead and gone now, like Heffo, but so it'd be somewhere between Jimmy Keaveney and Dermot Connolly, or of course the honourable mentions for the Gooch and Morris as well. Yeah,
nice, I like that. Yeah, Yulia, I know Philip was saying earlier about the club hasn't really got to become fans of the GAA yet, but is there a GAA player that you've come across that you're a fan of or that you've seen?
Well, me.
Couldn't name a GAA player if I tried. I've watched a few football games and hurling games, but I don't know. I wouldn't say I know anyone of them. Okay, unfortunately. But still on my to-do list,
Yeah, that's fine. That's okay. Plenty of time. Don't worry. Plenty of time. Emma, who are you picking then as the greatest of all time?
Honestly, I can't pick, because there's so many of them. There's way too many. There's such good, amazing, talented players on all the counties. And when it comes to the ladies' football, one of my favourite players is Cora Stanton. Yeah. I know she plays for Mayo as well, so I'm like, oh, Mayo. But she's unbelievably talented, and now, as far as I know, she's still doing AFL as well.
Yep, she is team of the year this year, so.
Yeah, exactly. So I would have grown up watching her play and stuff like that, and back in the day we used to go into Pierce Stadium and watch Galway play Mayo and the ladies, and you wouldn't have such huge crowds either, because it wasn't as popular as the men. Yeah. So if you had Galway men playing the Mayo men, the place would be absolutely packed. You'd have to be standing outside the gates. But then when the ladies play, you actually are able to go in and sit down and enjoy it. I think now that this is going back, 10, 15 years ago, even more. So I think now if Galway women played against Mayo women, you'd have a huge turnout again, because it's getting bigger and bigger every year. There's more and more people getting involved in it. There's more and more, the LGSA is growing every year.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I had the Leinster president actually on, the ladies president on as well recently, and she was kind of talking about the same thing, I suppose. Yeah, Dónal, I don't know which Kerry man you're going to pick. You have two. Okay, go on, so. Yeah.
And I was very lucky. I club at home was first to play against many of the Kerry team and things like that. Like, and I played against Pat Spillane, I played against Maurice Fitzgerald. But Fitzgerald, unbelievable altogether. For a man of his size and stature, the way he was able to command the ball, the way he was able to nurture the ball and shift the ball from side to side, he was always thinking 3 steps ahead. And I often had it. I had a conversation. I was very lucky to have a conversation with him one time. And I said, "How do you stay so calm?" And he used to say to me, I used to do mathematics in my head. I used to do simple mathematics.
Yeah.
He used to bring the thoughts to the front of his head, and he used to focus him just to relax and how to calm down and so on and so forth. And like when you hear tips and tricks like that, he was away before his time. He was away before his time. And it has to be then, like when it comes to the ladies, it has to be Mary Jo Conn. One of the best Gaelic football ladies ever came out of Kerry. I think she has something like 9 or 10 or 11 All-Ireland medals. And that's outside National League. And then your county championship on top of that. Like, she is unbelievable altogether, like. The way she... and she never looked for fame. She'd go and she'd talk to the under-8s and she'd talk to seniors and she'd have football players, male football players coming talking to her as well. Like. And she could hold an audience. Unbelievable. She could really, really hold them. Like. And the way she spoke, and there was nothing high and mighty about her.
Yeah.
She was salt of the earth. That kind of it.
You like that, yeah.
Mary Jo Conn.
Okay, deadly. Yeah, that's. I'll add those to my list of a good long list of players that I've got over the last few weeks doing this. So the last few questions are. I'll throw one each at you because they're all the Swedish teamed ones. Now don't worry, it's not for 3 of you. It's not a history test on Sweden that Julia is just going to nail and the rest of you are going to be struggling with that.
Just going to win.
It's not like that. Don't worry. I'll ask you the first one: Stockholm or Connemara?
Oh Jesus! Why do I have to get the tough ones?
That's the way it works.
I mean, home will always be home, won't it?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But with the way that the Irish community is here and the way that we all look after each other and we all care for each other over here, I'd have to say here is like literally a second home. Like I do call Stockholm home. Like if I'm in Ireland, like, oh, I'm going home tomorrow. People are like, oh, back to Connemara. I'm like, oh no, back to Stockholm. And like the way that we're very community orientated as well. Like
yeah, okay.
So it makes you feel like you're at home. So it's really, really nice. It's really
Sounds
good.
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah. Julia, ABBA or Westlife?
Oh,
you're looking like that.
Sorry. Need to say ABBA. It's yeah. Westlife has nothing on them. I'm sorry.
Oh wow! Oh. Throwing digs at
Westlife. Did you hear that? My heart just broke.
I know, but that's fair.
Yeah, I've been to more Westlife concerts than ABBA concerts, I'm afraid. So
I think we all have.
No fucking ABBA concerts.
The ABBA Museum count, though.
Was it?
The ABBA Museum count at the concert.
Yeah, the ABBA Museum counts the concert. Actually, yeah, I can put that. I'll put that on my list as one. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay, ABBA's the choice there. So, Philip, you can choose the Ice Hotel or the Shelburne Hotel.
Ooh, that's a good one. I've been here for I'll be 22 years this year, and I'll let you in a little secret, Jason. I absolutely hate the cold, so it's going to have to be the Shelburne Hotel and drinks in the bar there, because like I don't know how I managed to wind up here. Don't like snow, don't like the cold, don't like any of that kind of thing. So I actually lived in Greece years ago and thought, oh, this is me. Love getting to Las Vegas or California somewhere to cover a event. So the Shelburne Hotel every day of the week. No, it's a lovely part of the country up there in the Ice Hotel, but frankly, you can keep it.
Okay, sounds good. Dónal, I'll throw this one to you. You have a choice between the Swedish company H&M or our own Penneys.
No, I suppose because Paul Galliman is stuck in Penneys, I'd have to go with Paul Galliman.
I was wondering where you're going to say that after I asked what I went.
Julia, Paul Galliman is a handsome Kerry man. He's a handsome Kerry man that plays Gaelic football. And the Dubs hate him. The Dubs hate him, Julia.
I don't expect anything else from you, Tom.
Penneys. Penneys.
Yeah, as soon as I said Penneys, I went, oh my God, Paul Galvin. I said, I wonder will you think of it. I said, I'll say nothing. Of course you did, yeah. Emma, around to you again. It's the I'm going to pronounce this wrong probably now, but coffee and cake in Sweden is it fika or fika? Is that how it's pronounced?
Fika.
Or a pint.
Cans.
Sorry, or option 3, which is cans. Yes.
Yeah, right. Cans.
Yeah, cans. Okay, option 3, cans. I'll take that. Philip, maybe I'll ask you this one. You can choose between Swedish man Avicii's "Wake Me Up" or Mark Mc Cabe's famous "Maniac 2000."
Jesus, that is. I mean, so in Swedish they call that pest or cholera, don't they? So we'll have to go with Avicii.
Okay.
Lord rest him.
Okay, fair enough. Juliet, apparently Nordic countries are the biggest coffee drinkers in the world. So coffee or tea?
Tea all the way. I don't drink coffee.
Wow, okay. Neither do I. I was just curious to see what you come up with. So I got to ask this one to Dónal because I say this would be a good crack for an answer here. Dónal, this is a half Dublin question now. So you have a choice between the famous Northern Lights up in the north of the Arctic Circle or the nightclub lights in Coppers. I said I won't ask that one to the Dub. I'll ask that to the Kerry man and see what he says.
You even have to think about this, Dónal.
It'd have to be Coppers, I'm afraid. It'd have to be Coppers.
On yourself.
Yeah. He couldn't resist. He couldn't resist it.
Good.
I got a lot of fucking trouble there one night.
Just on one night.
It was, and it was the only Thursday night I was there.
Right. Do you want to tell us what happened, or should we say that?
No, geez, the time is flying by. You know? I don't know. We're ahead over here, like the kids
for a man who stuck his head in about 5 minutes ago. I love the way you're having time. Yeah. Right. So, Philip, I'll ask you the second last one, and I might ask Emma or Dónal possibly the last one because I don't think Yulia will be familiar too much with the last one unless you've really taught her some Irish stuff. I don't think she'll be familiar with the last one, but. Philip, maybe I'll ask you this one since it's half Dublin. You have a choice between at centre forward Zlatan Ibrahimovic or Diarmuid Connolly.
Oh, we'd have to go with Diarmuid. I love Zlatan. Everybody here loves Zlatan. Generation Z for the win and that kind of thing. But Diarmuid, all those All Irelands, all that joy he's brought me over the last few years. So and poor Zlatan hasn't even scored in the World Cup, so it's going to have to be Diarmuid all the way there.
Okay, yeah. Dónal is shaking his head. He's obviously picking Zlatan for that one. So, and then Emma, I'll go to you for this one. It's a very, very big choice. It's the last one. It's vital here. So, choice between the famous IKEA, I presume, or IKEA as we say over here, or Mattress Mick. Vital.
This is it.
Mattress Mick has a thing on IKEA.
Poor old Mattress Mick.
Absolutely love IKEA. I could literally spend my life in there.
Yeah, I think everyone could. Yeah,
it's true.
Literally.
Yeah.
Before you go now, Jason, I want to say one thing about Dónal Buckley. Yesterday was the Darkness into Light walk, and he organised for a few of us to get together at 4:30 in the morning in the city. And it was only a small gathering. Only 5 of us showed up for it because it's not very well known in Stockholm just yet. But I think that he deserves exactly, and it's a good way to get it happening. Like so, in the years to come, hopefully it'll get bigger and bigger and bigger in Stockholm. Yeah. But I think that Dónal deserved a little bit of a shout out there for that.
Fair play to you, Dónal. Getting it going in Stockholm has to be done. It has to be done around the world, so it's good to get started somewhere. So fair play to you.
Yeah,
that's good. I have to before I let you go. Yulia, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before I let you go?
Who would I want to give a shout out to?
You don't have to say anyone. If you don't like anyone, it's fine.
No, I don't like anyone in the club. No one. Yeah. No. I want to give a shout out to all the ladies that used to play with us that doesn't play anymore because family life things happen.
Yep.
But yeah, to all of them, to Ciara Mulligan, Claire King, Katrina O'Connor, Sue, like everyone that used to play back in the day. We would love to see you back. You're welcome back anytime.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds good, yeah. Philip, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to back home or anything? Or?
Just to anybody who thinks that they can't play the game anymore, that they've given up, who's living abroad and who hasn't sort of reached out to the local team or anything else, do it, right? It'd be the best thing you'll ever do. It'd be the best crack you'll ever have, and it doesn't matter how many tournaments I finished up in the emergency room for me, but still every minute of it was worth it.
Deadly. Love it, yeah. Emma, is there anyone back in Connemara?
I want to say hi to my mom. I want to say hi to my dad. Can I go? How long do I have?
I thought you might, since you have a chance to throw in the Irish, I thought you might stand up and start, an All-Ireland speech, like, I'll go into Oosh, like,
Oh, jeez, no. I don't want to be losing people now. We're just be a nice podcast. Don't want to end it on a bad note.
That's okay. That's fine.
No, but the same as like what Phil said. For like anyone who is thinking, like, oh, it's not easy being away from home on a normal day under normal circumstances. And now with COVID and with everything like that, and people cannot go home as often as they want to go home. And, thankfully you have Zoom, you've got WhatsApp, you've got all of these things you can keep in touch. But I mean, to get out and to play football and to learn a new sport and to make new friends and all that kind of stuff, like it's one of the best things that I ever done when I came here. And I was in two minds. I was like, oh, will I, won't I? And I mean, I honestly can't say enough about it. It's done so much for us here. It's done everything. So I think everyone should really try it.
Definitely, that's great. Yeah, definitely put that as a tagline. And Dónal, is there anyone down in the kingdom?
Yeah, I'd like to say hello to all the Jen Jack Buckleys from Cash Island, all the O'Shea's from Killarney, the Sheehans from Guineve Gwilla.
Oh my God, Guineve Gwilla. Jeez, I had a Guineve Gwilla man on the podcast not that long ago.
What's his name?
Owen Fitzgerald, under 20 All-Ireland winner, fullback, cornerback.
Right. Yeah. On my mother's side of the family, they were known as the Russian Sheehans. They were all known as the Russians. And they came from that side of the country. The Buckleys in are around from Scotland and Cash Island and things like that. Like, and then we have the O'Shea's in Killarney. And then there's the Shanahans and the O'Lyonses. And I suppose, everyone who around Kerry just say that they all know Donny Buckley. We'll just put it like that.
Donny Buckley. Love it.
Just say Dónal. And they'll all, who the fuck he is, like.
Donny it is. So, Philip, before I let you go, I have a lot of people I know around the country like to buy GAA gear from different clubs. Like that's not your standard county jersey. Can your gear be bought on O'Neill's, or where can we find it?
If you go to masita.ie, you'll find a whole load of different merchandise there. So we have all sorts of half zip tops and tracksuits and jackets and everything. We're going to have some new sponsors on there as well. So masita.ie. And another good tip is the Viking Gaels hurling jersey is probably the most beautiful jersey you'll ever see. And you'll also find that on masita.ie. So grab yourself one of them and you'll be the best looking boy or girl on the beach this summer.
It sounds like I need to invest in a few jerseys, so by the sounds of it, so I like that. Yeah, I have to ask as well, just before you go, the book that you wrote, because I've written 2 history books for primary schools here that have just been released as well. Is there anywhere people can check out your book? Because there's a lot of history people who listen to this. So.
The book is called A Parish Far From Home, and it was published by Gillan Macmillan. It's still available on Amazon, still available online. And just at the start of COVID, about a year ago, I was thinking, okay, so something I can do at the beginning of this when we're all going to be locked down in various different places around the world. So I got the rights back from Gillan Macmillan, and I actually recorded it as an audio book. So nice. You can listen to it on SoundCloud. Everything there, and it's for free. So if you go to SoundCloud and you look for Philip O'Connor or look for A Parish Far From Home, you'll find it all there for free. But if you want to buy it, give Gillan Macmillan a few quid. They're well worth it as well.
Oh yeah, well, one of the mans in my class, ironically, is one of the head publishers for Gillan Macmillan. so
you can let her know. I'd be more than happy to write another book for them if they wanted.
Yeah, I'll let her know. I'll pass the word out to her. So yeah, definitely. Lads, look, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry I kept you so long, but it was just the best crack. I could stay here chatting all night. But I wish you the best of luck when all the championships and stuff get back up and running. And hopefully I'll get a trip back to Stockholm at some point again in life and make my way up to the Northern Lights, or I'll bring the Copper's Lights over to you, Dónal, if you want, either, whichever you prefer, so you know yourselves. And just say a big thanks. And I'll talk to you guys again soon. I'll keep in touch. And just say thanks a million, and I'll talk to you guys again soon.
Thanks very much.
Thanks a million, Jason.
Yes, Slán thanks a million.
Bye.
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 Coming up the next day on the Loaf of Bread GAA Global, we cut into our next slice.
We're very lucky. There's 4 clubs in Auckland, and Maris kind of always seem to get good numbers. I think it's because we're great crack, really.
Yeah.
But
we're shy of football. But we're great crack.
I gathered from the WhatsApp you were good crack, in fairness.
We lure people with the promise of great social events and stuff like that, and then the football kind of comes second. So
on Slice 21, I go from Super Sweden and make the huge journey across the globe to the far corner and catch up with a gang of Mars strangers. I meet with Padraig from Kilkenny, Michael from Donegal, Lauren from Sligo and Dennis from Wexford. Poor Doc was a no-show. We chat everything about the GAA life in New Zealand, growing player numbers and clubs, the great crack within the club itself, rivalries in New Zealand and with the Australasian teams, and of course some key discussions such as Dan Carter or Johnny Sexton, Skydive in New Zealand or Skydive in Wicklow, Lord of the Rings or Lord of the Dance, Eden Park for the Rugby World Cup final or Croke Park on All-Ireland final day, and of course, the key question, are there any Maori on Craggy Island? That's next Monday from 9 AM as we continue the journey with 2 slices a week. I'll see you at the arrivals hall, but until then, check out the various clubs on the Instagram page and see all the amazing work they do and some of the nicest GA gear going. Find the podcast on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter and on TikTok. Email loafofbreadpod@gmail.com or just simply hit the follow button and spread the word of the Loaf of Bread GA pod across the globe. Slánagi.